1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What did you do today? It's a pretty straightforward question. And you're probably asking yourself right now, what did I do today? Well, for some of us, we went on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and 2 hours went by and we're not exactly sure what we did with that time at all. For some of us, when this happens, we begin to feel upset about the fact that we were unproductive. But for other people, they can actually take it to another level and experience symptoms of depression. I've actually seen this happen, both with myself, with my family and friends, and the effects that it can take on you. And I've also extensively researched social networking related depression, and this is what makes me a credible speaker on this topic. Now, according to Clement, a CQ researcher in 2010, the first social networking site started in 1997, about 2 decades ago. But only within the last decade was it that it really took off. So it's no wonder that mental health professionals are concerned about the effects that this may have on us going forward. First, we're going to talk about who's using social networking, what positive experiences you can have from it. We'll look at 2 studies about social networking and depression, and then take a look at what we can do in order to minimize our chances of experiencing these symptoms. Social networking systems allow us to instantly connect from almost anywhere, but it can also leave us disconnected from our daily lives and things that are actually happening in front of us. When too much value and time is placed on these sites, that's when we start to see this happen. Now, social media should be enjoyed. We should use it to share and stay connected, but we should also take a look at how much time we are spending on this. How much time are you spending behind the screen, looking at a phone or a computer? Today, what I want you all to do is examine that and then reduce the amount of time that you are actually spending on these sites. So to start with, let's talk about why we love social networking, who's using it, and how can it help us and be positive. In 2015, Andrew Perrin with the Pew Research Center stated that 65% of all U.S. adults are on some form of social networking. Now, to break it down further, 90% of people who are 18 to 29 years old have some type of account. 30 to 49-year-olds, 77%. And with the highest increase, those who are 65 and older, 35% of them now use some form of social media. We have all seen how Facebook has allowed families to reunite, couples that are announcing their pregnancies, their engagements, a lost pet that's found because the community came together. Maybe you brightened a friend's day because you sent a silly filter to them. There are many benefits to this. And these sites, they bring us together, they inspire us, they support our career, and they allow us to connect with people that we may never have had the opportunity to do so with. And the list goes on. Well, in 2015, psychologists and researchers Trubb, and Rosenthal, they stated that Facebook can actually help lower depression. How? Well, because they increase self-esteem, you have more friends and more social connections. And it's also shown that we really like it when we update our own profiles. Another amazing possibility is that you can go viral. I think most of you remember in May when that mom was laughing hysterically because she put on that Chewbacca mask and it made those Wookiee noises. Millions, 100 million people saw this and were able to smile because of it. Now, with so many benefits, how could it be a bad thing? Have you ever heard the saying, too much of a good thing? Well, when it comes to social networking, there is such a thing as too much.
Mama, can I have a s'more?
Trubb, and Rosenthal in 2015, as well as professors Brooks and Longstreet, had studies that showed the more time that you actually spend on these sites, the greater the chance that you will experience depression. The Brooks and Longstreet 2015 study showed that one of the major components to experiencing this depression is social comparison. So why is that? We spend our time. The more time we're on there, we start looking at what other people are posting and compare ourselves to it. And this can bring on those symptoms. The lack of productivity that you can see from this as well is a huge component. Now, I personally have a friend who had to completely disconnect from social networking because it was causing major stress to her marriage. She was unproductive. She's spending hours a day on Facebook and Instagram, and her depression became severe from it, to the point where she was actually hurting herself. So she had to completely cut that off and use those resources from people who were offline in order to get away from it all. Now, specific to Instagram, Love, Trump, and Rosenthal in their 2015 study, I forgot my graphic. They looked at Instagram alone, and what they found was that the people who spent the most time on Instagram, but also followed the most strangers and had higher levels of social comparison, those are the ones who were affected most by it. So this graph right here shows you that these are the times: 10 minutes, 11 to 30, 1 hour, 2 hours. So these are your strangers followed, and you can see it here. Back up. Okay? Can you all see that? Yeah. So you spend 2 hours, you follow the most strangers, those have the highest level of depression out of everyone. And we know social networking sites have benefits and they encourage connecting from anywhere, but they can also come with a negative consequence and cause mental well-being to suffer. So let's discuss how we can minimize the chances of this happening. First, limiting the amount of time that we spend on these sites will across the board lower your exposure, and you're going to have less chances of experiencing any type of depression. In 2015, Love, Trump, and Rosenthal, on their same study, Instagram users that had the least amount of strangers that they followed and spent more time with their family and friends, those are the ones who had the least risk, but they also saw an increase in mental well-being. And you may wonder why this is relevant. Well, earlier this year, April 2016, the World Health Organization stated that an estimated 350 million people worldwide suffer from depression, and it's also the leading cause of disability worldwide. It can be very difficult for us to interpret how someone's life is really being lived just through a post or a picture. They show us what they want us to see, but this can have negative consequences. Social networking is a part of our everyday life, and more people are signing up each and every day, so it's important that we learn how to use this responsibly. And we discussed the wonderful opportunities that social networks provide, the less talked about negative consequences, and what we can do to minimize the chances of experiencing these systems. Let us remember that social networking is here to enrich our lives and not to be a burden for us or distract us from actually experiencing what is happening in front of us. Your self-worth is not and should not be valued by the amount of likes that you have or followers that you have. In conclusion, I'm not asking you to stop using these sites. They have their benefits, but to take a closer look at the amount of time that you are spending looking at a screen. What might you be missing? A few extra minutes of playtime with your kids, maybe a conversation with a friend. There is a balance, and it's essential going forward. So I leave you with one final quote from Brooks and Longstreet's 2015 article. The use of social network sites should be approached with caution and with the awareness that the greater use of social networking can lead to negative outcomes in overall mental well-being. Thank you. That was so bad.